The Honourable Minister of Veterans Affairs.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my learned colleague and Air Force caucus mate for his very good discussion of the challenges we've faced in the modern world when it comes to security. And quite frankly, Mr. Speaker, I'm shocked when sometimes people in this House will hearken back to the early days of parliamentary democracy and early reigns of kings, when most of the people reflected in this House today would not have been part of that parliamentary democracy, Mr. Speaker, because they would not have been permitted to sit in this place nor even permitted to vote. So certainly our parliamentary democracy has evolved with time. And this is an evolution that should be part of it, Mr. Speaker, because we can walk into the Hall of Honor and see firsthand the marks that we must learn from in terms of preserving this special place for Canadians of today and in the future. So for my friend, speaking of his time with the Canadian Forces, I'd like him to speak on how the after-action report approach to learning from incidents like this has been taken into account with this case, where we've seen that multiple lines of communication and multiple lines of authority, Mr. Speaker, can actually lead to slower response, a less complete picture of risks to the persons on this Hill, but more importantly, to our parliamentary democracy at large. So could he speak particularly to how a single reporting line and single oversight will allow and actually empower the Guards of the Hill that we're so thankful for, Mr. Speaker?
For Edmonton Centre.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I thank my honourable colleague, the Minister of Veterans Affairs, A, for the great job he's doing in that new portfolio, and B, for the question. And yes, it is a very relevant question. I mean, his background and mine have been in the military environment. Other colleagues have been in the police environment, where it is extremely important that people know who is coordinating, who is in charge. It doesn't mean that person or that office is doing all the jobs, but it means there's one point of command. And personally, I would relate to being the wing operations officer at 4 Wing Cold Lake, and it was a large operation with many different facets, and the command post ran the operation, and I ran the command post. There were people out there doing all the different jobs: military police, the flying operation, the security operation, the supply operation, the armament operation. All those operations were running out there by people that we trusted because they knew what they were doing. Just like the RCMP trusts the security forces inside the House of Commons and the Senate to know what they're doing. But there had to be somebody at the point of authority to say, okay, take all those reports in, collate it, say, great, that's going well, oops, we need some help over here. Need somebody there to coordinate that and to control that and to command that. And that's what this is about, Mr. Speaker, is hard-earned experience from decades and decades and decades of military operations, which, let's face it, in many ways, that's what we're talking about here, is a military, paramilitary operation where, especially when you're using force, where you're using force of arms at times, you better have control over that, and you better know what's going on, and there better be one body in charge of coordinating that, reporting to somebody who has authority over them, just like the base commander, wing commander, had authority over me in Cold Lake. You know, you're the base commander, and I'm the wing opso. The RCMP is your wing opso. Trust them to do the job. They're the ones equipped to do it. They've got the experience, the training, the capacity, the tools. Let them get on with it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.